Greetings, friends. Welcome to Trizity Traveling. I'm your host, John. And if you've been watching me over the course of the summer, you know that I flew on Avelo, I flew on Allegiant, I flew on Spirit, and I flew on Frontier. I've been teasing a comparison video among the four of those ultra low-cost carriers. The booking process on all four of them is very similar. They all have the a la carte style where everything has its own fee. They'll advertise a very low fee, and then when you get through the booking process, your final price is very, very different than that. But the flight experience is almost the same. The seats are firm, dare say uncomfortable on most of the particular airplanes I flew, at least for me. There really is not very much difference other than the color of the airplanes and the uniforms of the flight attendants. You may or may not agree or disagree with that particular statement, but whichever of the four you choose, it's going to be a very similar experience. What I am going to do today is give you some data regarding, are these ultra low-cost carriers actually cheaper? And I'm going to look at some flights on Avelo to Burbank, and I'm going to compare that to Southwest and a mainline Delta flight. I'll do Spirit and Allegiant to Las Vegas, and I'll compare that with Southwest and again a mainline Alaska flight. And then I'll do a Frontier flight from Denver to Orlando, which is another flight I did this year, and compare that with Southwest and a mainline United, since Denver is a United hub, and see what we get. What I'll do for all of these comparisons, I'll pick what amounts to main cabin on all of the mainline carriers. No additional upgrades on the mainline carriers, so it should be a fairly apples-to-apples comparison, at least as much as I can make it. Let's look at their low fare calendar in January. It is October right now. Looking at January, I'm looking at the lowest cost fares. Looks like January 22nd. I'm looking at $49 on the outbound, $69 on the return, for a total of $118, and selecting seats. Normally I would be picking probably one of these seats, the little extra legroom. Because I'm doing a low cost selection, looks like $11 or $12 in the back of the airplane. I'm going to go ahead and pick the $12 seat, $1 more, but it gets me a window. I'll do the same for the return. So total for seats is now $24. Carry-on bags, if you do carry a bag on, that's $40. If you're on the main line, carry-on bags are free. I said at the beginning I would be checking a bag, so I will be adding check bag for both directions. You can also, because it's a la carte, you can do priority boarding if you're traveling with a pet. There's also wheelchair or special assistance. And I think I'm going to stop there because the next thing will be payment. So I'm looking at $222 flying on January 22nd to the 26th on Avelo to Burbank. We're going to go Boise to Burbank. I happen to know that there are no direct flights, so if we're taking Southwest, we'll have to connect. We'll use the same dates. It's far enough out that should be able to get some fairly decent fares. And $48. Early morning change in Oakland. That's pretty dang good. The return, looks like I can get a $44 return coming back. So Southwest, looking out a little ways, gets me a round trip flight for $91.46 to Burbank. That's half of what you would pay on Avelo. If you're diligent, you can get an early seat assignment, so you're not going to be stuck in the back of the airplane like I was on Avelo. $222 or $91.46. This is only true because I'm looking out a ways with Southwest Airlines. When these low-cost seats are taken, the price was going to go up to $100, and then you'd be looking at very similar. I also know that Delta flies from Boise to Burbank. Not directly, but you can get there with a connecting flight. Okay, so my search results, basic, $292. So they will assign seats, probably at the back of the airplane, just like Avelo. So I'm going to accept and just continue with basic. And returning the price remains at $292. So the amount due to fly Delta to Burbank, $291.20. So it was roughly $100 with Southwest, $222 with Avelo, I believe, and $291 mainline. So on this particular routing, Avelo gets beat by Southwest Airlines. The next comparison that I promised was Allegiant, Spirit, and Alaska Airlines from Boise to Las Vegas. So let's take a look at what Allegiant can do for me. Let's go back out to January and see what dates they've got. So it looks like I'm going to pick that same week, but I'm going to go with January 23rd, returning on January 27th. Let's see what they get me. So Allegiant is offering $50 each direction. Only 5 seats left at that price. Whatever. Avelo didn't offer me a bundle, but Allegiant did. And they say I can save 36% with the Allegiant bonus bundle, which includes your personal item, which they don't charge you for anyway, carry-on bag, a seat selection, and something called Trip Flex, which I believe allows you to change your flight without a fee. You can save 40% if you go with the Allegiant Total, which again gives you your personal item, which is already included, carry-on bag, and a check bag, with your seat selection, priority access, meaning you get to board the airplane earlier, and again, Trip Flex. Now, if you purchase all of those a la carte separately, it's $243. I would argue that in most cases, you probably don't need the Trip Flex. You probably don't need the priority access. Everybody's going to the same place. Carry-on and a check bag. For this length of trip, I don't know that I would do both, especially if my emphasis is trying to save money. So I would probably do a carry-on or a checked bag, but not both. I still go a la carte. I'm not going to do the bundle in this particular case. So no thanks, I don't need to bundle. For this trip, I'm looking at these seat selections. So I'm looking to save the most money I can. So $8 or $1. I'm going to pick the window. I'm going to go with the 8. So when we get to the end here, I could have saved $14 if I would have picked the middle seat in the back. So carry-on bag or checked bag. Carry-on bags cost more, so I'm going to do my checked bag. Checked bag is $23 each direction. At the end of it all, my trip summary, $162 for a trip to Las Vegas. Let's compare the Allegiant, $162 with Southwest Airlines. And I'm going cheap, cheap, cheap. So what's the cheapest I can get? $104 non-stop. Returning $104 non-stop. So my cheap fare on Southwest is $207. I also know that Alaska Airlines flies direct between Boise and Vegas. Looks like I can get $104 on the outbound. We're going to continue with Saver because we're going cheap. $104 on the return. Basically the same price as Southwest, $207.20. One final comparison, I also have a direct flight with Spirit Airlines between Boise and Las Vegas. So again, same dates in January 23rd through the 27th on Spirit this time. Looks like I can get a $41 fare, return for $51, so $91.18 round trip. Like Allegiant, they offered the bundle. Again, I'm not going to go for that. I'm going to go for the basic. So I'm looking at carry-on bag for $60. Check bag is $55. It's always interesting to me that a check bag is cheaper than a carry-on bag. You do the work with the carry-on, check bag, they do the work. There's always a fear of losing your check bag with a lot of people, but I will check a bag each direction. So that adds $110 to my fare. All the seats are basically the same price. Nothing cheaper in the middle. So I'm going to go further up this time. Row 20, I can get a $20 seat. Flex change, flight changes, $45. I'm going to skip that. Boarding earlier is $9.99. Some Spirit flights now have Wi-Fi, so that's $6. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to continue with standard. $243.18. So $91 for the flight, $110 for the bags, and $42 for the seats. So that is actually the most expensive. You could argue that if you had a bag, Alaska could be the same price, or roughly the same price. But $243, that doesn't seem like a low-cost carrier to me. I think on this particular route, Spirit is capitalizing on the destination, that a lot of people in Boise want to go to the destination. I'm a little surprised it's not the least expensive. So on this particular route, booking out into the future, Allegiant with a checked bag would be the cheapest. If I was doing this, I would have a different seat selection. I would be further up in the airplane, but still, you're looking at pretty close to the same price as Southwest, the $207. So I'd say $200 for this route is kind of the expected price. Gets to be a personal preference. Would you rather fly basic with Alaska, normal on Southwest, or Allegiant? Seats on Southwest, I think, are a little more comfortable. Personal preference. I decided I would not take you through the entire booking process with Frontier, Southwest, and United between Denver and Orlando. You've seen the method. The Frontier airfare was $157, $69 for seats. With this booking, I had to connect through Atlanta on the return flight, so there was an extra seat charge, and bags were $50 each way. For comparison purposes, I was able to get lowest price on Southwest of $398.97, so $200 each way. Bags are included, so that would be your total price. And on United, no bags, $389.20. So if you add bags, you're looking at well over $400. Regardless of the days you travel, shopping and doing lots of your own comparisons is probably the most important thing you can do to save money. Beyond the low cost, a lot of people will not fly an ultra low cost carrier because of the carrier's reputation. I've had commenters tell me that Allegiant is the worst airline ever. It's not been my experience. They are seemingly doing fairly well these days, but a lot of people won't travel with them because they have a less than favorable reputation, I guess. Again, not my experience. All the low-cost carriers I've traveled with, I would use again. The onboard experience is, at the end of the day, really not that different between any of them. The low-cost carriers have what I consider to be the least comfortable. They're slimline and they're very, very firm. So if you have a delicate bottom like I do, low-cost carriers could hurt your butt. What are your thoughts? Post those below. If you have any questions or comments about any of my comparisons, if you don't like my method, tell me all about it. If you've made it this far into the video, please take a second to like, subscribe, and hit that reminder bell. Thanks for watching today, and happy travels, everyone.